Yo, what's up, YouTube? It's your boy K-Side Cash, and today I'm going to be breaking down and making my predictions for UFC Fight Night 282, Ankalaev versus Guskov. I'm going to be starting my way from the bottom of the card, making my way to the top. And guys, to be honest, this is a sleeper banger card. There's some pretty important matchups on this card to determine where the division is going to be moving forward. So let's get started. Kicking off this card, we have a fight in the bantamweight division between Cody Gibson and the man who's making his UFC debut in Abdul Hussein. And I'm actually pretty excited and looking forward to seeing what he's going to present in this matchup. Between these two fighters, you can see there's a pretty big height discrepancy. Cody Gibson here is listed at 5'10", whereas Abdul is listed at 5'5". With that being said, I do believe that the height advantage will play into Cody's favor. You know, him being the taller fighter and him being a forward pressure type fighter, striker. I do believe he'd be able to find a range early. I do believe he'd be able to throw 1-2s, in succession, playing at his range. But the thing about this fight is I do believe that Abdul is going to make it a close fight. He's a clinch heavy fighter. So he's going to get in your face. He's going to get the collar tie. He's going to get up on you. He's going to throw punches. He might get some overhooks, some underhooks, you know what I'm saying? And he's going to try to take you down. And the thing about it is he will take you down, and he's going to take you down. You're going to get up. He's going to take you down again. He's a mat return heavy fighter. He kind of has like a, not necessarily Marab style, but he does have that cadence to him where if you get down, I'm going to make sure you stay down. If you get up, I'm going to take you back down. So I do believe Cody will maybe have success, playing the range, throwing some combos. But the thing about it is you're going to need somebody playing that range with you to get them strikes off, right? So I think Abdul is going to make it close. He's going to clench. He might get some, maybe like a judo throw, like a judo hip throw, find a sub. But my prediction and my pick for this fight is going to be Abdul Hussein first round knockout. Another way I could see this fight going down is I could potentially see Abdul getting a sub. I only say that because he has a pretty good ninja choke, and he has a pretty good way of finding, people's necks, getting under that neck, getting, he has a pretty good way of getting this position on you, and the thing about Cody Gibson is he crashes in, he moves forward, and he does put himself in compromising positions. Like I said, he kind of has like a Dan Hooker type style where he will put himself in a fire, he'll put himself in a fire so long as you're taking 1-2 shots, but the thing about him is he does put himself in compromising positions. And even if he's not crashing in, with the Aureli Zhang fight where he got starched in 20 seconds, his face fucking punched off, I think he came moving forward. He had his guard up, he had his hands up, but this whole shit was up. This whole shit was open. And Aureli Zhang, I think he threw a leg strike, wham! Clean ran his fucking jaw, took him out. So I do potentially see Abdul starching this man right in his face. I don't see, not to say I don't see success for Cody, but I do believe Abdul will probably get him out there in the first round. I say knockout, but I wouldn't be surprised if Cody puts himself in a bad position. Maybe, Abdul goes for a clinch tie and Cody dips his head down, and there you go, he finds his neck. Abdul has a standing ninja choke where he's literally choking dude right here, and he just throws him on the floor. Dude's out cold. So my prediction and my lock, guaranteed lock, my pick and lock for this fight is Abdul first round finish. And for our next fight of the prelims, we have a lightweight bout featuring Ankalaev versus Mike Davis. Now, there's actually pretty much a lot of similarities between these fighters. There's not too much far reach between these fighters. They have about an inch reach difference, as well as height. It's about a 2-3 inch height difference favoring Mike Davis. What really intrigues me about this matchup right here is both of these fighters are move forward, heavy striking fighters. Narolo is more of like a like a Khabib type fighter where he's gonna pick you apart, throw strikes, beat you up, and then he'll take you down, and then he'll keep you down, you know, or he'll go for a clinch. Whereas Mike Davis, he's this very elusive, explosive, you know, extended combo type striker where he's, you know what I'm saying, he's here, he's throwing a flying knee, you know, whereas he's really planting heavy on his shots. And I think this is going to be like a very head clash heavy type of fight. I just believe the power advantage may lean a little bit towards Mike Davis. Now, where I see this fight actually becoming super interesting is in the grappling department. Noralo has a really good way of getting to an opponent, sticking to them. He's kind of like a backpack, you know. He gets your back, he gets your side, he gets your clinch, and he likes to stay there. He likes to grit you, he likes to outgrind you, he likes to beat you up, he likes to take you down, and he likes to throw like almost like a crazy Terrence McKinney style like ground and pound. You know, he wants to swarm you and overwhelm you, and you know, he wants to make you to the point where you can't defend. And Mike Davis, he wants to just hit you with that fire, you know. He wants to hit you with that shot that is gonna put you out, or he's gonna hit you with extended combos that you might take one, you may take two, but you can't take three, you won't take four, and you'll be sleeping before you take five, you know. So I think it's gonna be one of those head clash heavy type fights, and honestly, this is gonna be a pretty intriguing matchup. And I think styles clash, you know, and I think where this fight we see a fighter take off is in the grappling department. And as of right now, I have to give that to Noralo. And also, he's an undefeated fighter. He hasn't tasted defeat. Now, with all of those things being considered, I think there's no way this fight goes the distance. There's absolutely going to be a finish. And when I start to think of two forward fighting fighters, you know, heavy striking fighters, overwhelming their opponent type fighters, you know, Mike Davis with the power, Noralo more or less with the pressure and the grappling, I think the deciding factor is the fighter with the better grappling. So in this matchup, I'm leaning towards Noralo. Not only is he probably better in the grappling, but he hasn't lost. He hasn't faced defeat, you know. So sometimes you're the nail, sometimes you're the hammer, but we haven't seen him as the nail. And Mike, he definitely has the power to make somebody the nail. If he hits you clean, you will go out. But I just believe that Noralo will be able to stick close to him. You know, he has really good sweeps. You know, get behind his leg. You know, get close and get behind his leg. Maybe get a trip and just start ground and pounding. I see this. I don't see this going past the second round. This is either first or second round ground and pound. Noralo, that's my lock. My lock and pick for this fight is Noralo, first or second round ground and pound. All right, guys, for the third fight of our prelim matchup is going to be taking place in the light heavyweight division, featuring Brenton Ribeiro and Magomed Tukalov. As you can see here, guys, there's not many statistics listed here for Magomed. He does have the 2-inch height advantage as well as a 3-year age gap difference. Him being the younger fighter, I think that is going to play an advantage. He has a lot less experience compared to Brenton Ribeiro. But one thing about Brenton Ribeiro is this dude is like the withered Michel Pereira. This dude literally looks like Michel Pereira, and he gets punched super hard and beat up pretty much every fight. Brenton Ribeiro right now is on a 3-fight skid, all finishes. He got starched by Zhang Mingyang early on. He got starched by Abdul Rahman Yayev or whatever, Abdul Rahman Yakayev or some shit. You know, these dudes all have the same last name, whatever. And he also got starched by Umar C. And Azamat Berzakhanov. This dude has been starched by basically everybody that he fights. This dude doesn't really find success in some of his fights. Even in the fights I've seen where he actually ends up winning, he faces adversity, and usually he doesn't get through it. His record is 17-10, so 27 fights, he lost basically half of them, you know what I'm saying? Like a little less than half of his fights. So I don't see any success for Brunson in this fight. He's a very heavy striker, elusive striker. I mean, he has pretty good knees. He's just like a long-ranging hook type of fighter. I don't know how he got to the UFC, honestly. Maybe he had a good fight in the Contender Series that nobody watched. But, yeah, I don't see any success for Brunson Ribeiro. Another thing is Magomed Tukalov, he's a very dangerous fighter. He's like another moving forward type of fighter. He has pretty good hooks. He's more of like a striking type fighter. He wants to break you down, throw hooks at you. He likes to get close too. He does have some clinch work in some of his fights. You know, he throws some strikes, and once he sees like the blood in the water, that's when he gets close. That's when he starts throwing knees, some elbows. He had a fight against this dude, I don't even know his name, some regional scene. You know these dudes have no names. Elbowed his fucking face off. Dude got rocked like halfway across the cage with an elbow. So I think Magomed Tukalov is going to have a comfortable win. I think he probably beats the shit out of Brunson Ribeiro for the majority of the fight. Maybe Ribeiro probably can throw a hook or something. Like, I think if Brunson has any sort of success, it would have to be the time they bump fists and the bell rings. That's probably the only success he's going to have, because I think this is going to be a surfboard right on the wave type of fight for Magomed Tukalov. I think he's going to take over. I think he's going to snowball. I think we're going to see Brunson Ribeiro shell up as he usually does, and it's going to be a finish. These two dudes, basically every fight Brunson has gone in, except for like 2-3 of his losses have been decisions. But other than that, they're all finishes, and they're majority early on. So I believe Brunson Ribeiro is going to get his ass whooped, probably starched clean, out cold, within the first 3 minutes, honestly. Magomed Tukalov has not seen a third round. The farthest he's gone in a fight is about like 3 minutes into the second round. So I don't see this fight getting far. I believe Magomed will probably starch him first round. So this is easy money, guys. My lock-in pick is going to be Magomed Tukalov, first round starch. All right, y'all, the next matchup on this prelim card is one of the most exciting bouts that I'm looking forward to, and it's going to be taking place in the lightweight division. As y'all can see, we have a fucking banger here between Ismael Bonfim and Axel Sola. This fight is going to be a striker's delight guaranteed. This fight is going to be high-paced exchanges, a lot of striking, a lot of up top to the body, you know, some leg kicks involved. I think this is going to be one of the most, like, aesthetically pleasing fights. I think we're going to see some beautiful exchanges. I think we're going to see real good, like, just, you know, rip to the top, give to the body, you know what I'm saying? You know, a lot of movement, a lot of shiftiness, a lot of, you know, forward slash. This fight is going to be such a fast-paced fight. I think this fight is going to be so good. I think the striking from both of these fighters is very good, honestly, pretty elite. Like, I would say Ismael Bonfim is, I would say the drawback for Ismael Bonfim is he's like a little one-dimensional, and when I say that to say he is primarily a striker, you know what I'm saying? And he doesn't shy away from his striking. We don't really see him mix it up much, you know. Just off the top of my head, when I'm thinking of him fighting Terrence McKinney, he didn't sway away from his striking, and what got him the knockout was the flying knee, which we don't really see him do much. I mean, we've seen it a couple other times. I think he's done it in his Dana White Contender Series fight or whatever, but majority of the time, Ismael Bonfim is just like he's tracking you down, you know, he's trying to strike, he's trying to, you know what I'm saying, he's trying to get this area, he's trying to hurt this area of your body, you know what I'm saying, and occasionally he rips to the body. I think that's gonna play in his advantage, but the thing about this fight is Axel Sola is such a crafty striker, all right? He's a shifty striker. He's in and out, you know, he's in your face. He takes a step back, he throws wild long strikes, you know. In his fight with Mason Jones, although that's his only loss, by the way, this man was undefeated up until about a couple months ago last year when he faced Mason Jones. He had a lot of success in that fight. He had Mason Jones hurt. This dude hit a crazy spinning back fist, rocked Mason Jones, almost put him out, flatlined him. I feel like if he would have followed up, you know, a couple good strikes, clean, precise strikes, he'd still be undefeated now. But that was a unanimous decision for Mason Jones. But regardless, I say that to say Axel Sola, even when he faces adversity, he still puts out a good performance. We've seen Ismael Bonfim crumble. We've seen him get hurt. We've seen him have to face adversity and not exactly get over it. So I would say the advantage in this fight is going to be to Axel Sola, just because I do believe he is a more crafty striker. I do believe he will be throwing more than just punches, just regular kicks. You know, he might throw a spinning kick to the body, a spinning back fist. He might throw a side knee. He might throw a question mark kick. You know what I'm saying? So I think this fight will be really great, fast-paced exchanges. You're going to see some good rips to the body. There will be damage. I do have to say the advantage in this fight is to Axel Sola. Ismael Bonfim has a couple more fights to him, so as far as experience, he may have seen more and he's faced more losses. So he may have been able to experience like being a nail more than a hammer, right? And he has, because Ismael has more losses than Axel, but also he has more wins. So I think the experience is going to play maybe into Ismael's favor, but I just think overall, if it's going to come for grit, heart for heart, punch for punch, strike for strike, I think Axel Sola probably has more power and will just throw more crafty strikes. You don't really see Ismael Bonfim sway away from what he does. He's a very good fighter. He kind of is shelled up sometimes, but he throws wild. He throws loose. He's there to get hit, is what I'm saying. So my pick for this fight, I can't say I really see a finish in this one. Of course I do. I see the possibility of a finish. I could see a KO, but my mind and my guess is this is going to be just like a good exchanges, good picking apart of each other, point fighting type of fight. And I think who will come out winner of the decision? Axel Sola. So my lock and pick for this fight is going to be Axel Sola decision. All right, y'all. The next fight on the prelim card is going to be featured in the welterweight division. As y'all can see here, we have Santiago Ponzinibbio versus Sam Patterson. And to be honest, guys, this fight could have potential to be a pretty good matchup. You know, we have a pretty OG guy here in the game, been fighting for a pretty long time in Santiago Ponzinibbio, and we have another fighter who, you know, has been making his rounds in the UFC. He's coming off a pretty fucking crazy high-level striking match with MVP, fucking snooze fest decision versus MVP. There was maybe 15 punches and kicks thrown collectively in that fight. So Sam Patterson's off a pretty bullshit loss, boring loss. And Santiago, if I'm not mistaken, he's coming off a loss, but he definitely had a win recently. Santiago's an OG. He has wins over good people like Sean Strickland way back in the day, 2015. He's knocked out Neil Magny. He's faced Gunnar Nelson. He's faced a lot of people. So, you know, he's definitely made his rounds in the UFC as well. He's been in the game for a pretty long time. You know, he's never reached the pinnacle of the welterweight division, but he's going on like a 7-fight streak, you know, with some good finishes in there. So just an OG in the game recently in his career. He's later in his career now. He's 39, so he's definitely later in his career on the tail end, and now he's more or less like a win-loss fighter, leaning more towards the loss side. He's been getting more of his losses recently, now you know that he's later. And Sam Patterson, he's pretty much just like a regular, you know, fighter. He's pretty good. You know, he's had some pretty good wins in his career. I think he had a 4-fight finish in a row, so that's pretty good. The way I see this matchup going right now, it's most likely going to be a standing matchup. I don't really see much grappling going to be happening in this matchup. If it happens, it probably will most likely be from Santiago Ponzinibbio, maybe just because he is Brazilian, so you know he might have some BJJ in there. I'm not trying to be funny, you know, like, oh, just because he's Brazilian he might have jiu-jitsu, but I'm sure he's going to have more of a grappling prowess than Sam Patterson. Sam Patterson, he's a pretty good fighter. He's a boxing style type fighter. You know, he stands pretty wide in his base. He has a pretty close guard. You know, sometimes he puts the hands down when he walks you down, but he's kind of like just very, I'm not gonna say he is one-dimensional, but he just leans into his striking very well. He's fully into his striking. And Santiago Ponzinibbio, he's kind of the same, where he's more like explosive and he's throwing just heavy shots, you know, and he also throws in succession, like what he did to Neil Magny. This dude battered his fucking leg. So if Santiago is going to be using those leg kicks. I think that could be a pretty fucking good weapon in this fight. Sam Patterson, he kind of stands like with his wide, you know, his lead leg is out there. He doesn't really switch stances much, at least from what I've seen. And, you know, going off that MVP fight, I mean, if Sam Patterson's going to have the output he had in the MVP fight, I think that's going to definitely not play in his favor. I think that's going to take away from what he has going on in this fight. And I think Santiago, I mean, he may have the power. You know, he's, like I said, later in his career. But, you know, older dudes, they be having that unk power, you know what I'm saying? And honestly, bro, this year, we've been seeing the unction, bro. It's been the unction, bro. You know what I'm saying? All the unks been winning. So I could sense a Santiago Ponzinibbio fluke. You know, like I said, he's a win-loss fighter later in his career. Sam Patterson, if he's gonna come out with, unless he has that chip on his shoulder, like, nah, I gotta prove these people wrong. Because, you know, you're only as good as your last fight. If I'm not mistaken, I'm gonna just check real quick. Both of these dudes are coming off a loss. Yeah, Santiago Ponzinibbio got knocked out by D-Rod, and Sam Patterson is coming off, like I said, that fucking high-level fucking snooze fest off MVP. But before that, he was on a winning streak, and they were all finishes. So, not for nothing, I think I could smell a fluke for Santiago Ponzinibbio. Like, I could see like a sneaky knockout or just like a good beatdown, you know, beating the bases. But I think, honestly, my pick for this fight is going to be Sam Patterson, decision. And I only say decision just based off his last fight, you know, and that's just because MVP was pretty like elusive, you know. He kept the striking, like he wasn't a traditional striker, right? He wasn't throwing your 1, 2s, 3s, 4s. He was throwing a high, a low, a kick, and I think that really kind of just disrupted Sam's whole flow. You know, he likes to be very traditional. He likes to just throw striking. When he sees the blood in the water, that's when he starts to push up. So I really believe Santiago Ponzinibbio could potentially pose a threat to Sam just in the way he moves, and he could be, you know, but he is older and he may not be as explosive as he once was. He's going to carry that power he has, that he's always had. You know, we've seen him knock out some good names, but I could see a fluke. But my guess and my lock for this fight, my guaranteed lock for this fight, is going to be Sam Patterson decision. All right, y'all. The next fight on the prelims is going to be in the light heavyweight division. All right, y'all. As we can see, we have a debuting fighter. That's what they do to all these debuting fighters. They don't give them no type of picture, so do what you will with that. We have Dustin Jacoby versus Muhammad Saeed. And the first thing I like to say about this matchup is Muhammad Saeed, being an undefeated fighter, may not exactly have as much value as we think, simply just because I don't think this guy has faced any high level of competition. This dude is fighting straight janitors, taxi drivers. I think the pinnacle of his opponents is probably like a fucking regional manager from Burger King or something, right? So just off name value alone and opponent and like the level of competition both these fighters have faced, like Dustin Jacoby has faced way better fighters. And I believe fighters that Dustin Jacoby have lost to could potentially beat Muhammad Saeed. So I say that to say, like, this dude has faced Dominic Reyes, Khalil Roundtree, Azamat Berzakhanov, I believe. And even right now, Dustin Jacoby's on a 4 finishing streak. So I think this fight is going to be a pretty interesting matchup. I mean, from what I've seen of Muhammad Saeed, he's a pretty good striker. You know, he moves forward. He kind of is in your face. I think I've seen him get a takedown once or twice, like just off the small film I've seen. I mean, this dude literally fought inside a high school gym. Like, seriously, you see the hardwood. Somebody just put like a little octagon in a fucking cafeteria or some bullshit gym, and he fought and he got a win, and that's on his professional career. So off that, like I said, just level of competition, like, you just can't compare and contrast. Like I said, Dustin Jacoby's faced Dominic Reyes, Khalil Roundtree, Azamat Berzakhanov. Those are really fucking good names. I mean, 2 of those people are actual title competitors. You know what I'm saying? They fought for the belt. So just off that, like, I see this fight going, both fighters moving forward. I mean, we know Dustin Jacoby's a pretty crazy striker, explosive striker. You know, he's kind of like unorthodox, not necessarily like Yuri, but just you know, you may not know what he's gonna throw next, right? So I believe Dustin Jacoby is just gonna do his regular thing. You know, he's gonna walk forward, he's gonna throw some crazy strikes. And you know, the thing about these debuting fighters is I feel like they always have something to prove. So the thing I've noticed about Mohammed Saeed is after his combinations, he throws a kick. You know, he 1 2 3 kick, 1 2 kick. You know, so that could present real problems for Dustin Jacoby. You know, I feel like Dustin Jacoby gets hurt with the extended combos, or you know, just when he obviously when nobody's expecting a strike, they get hurt. But when he's not expecting a kick, he could get hurt. So I could see this going either way. Like honestly, this should be a pretty, you know, back and forth type matchup. I don't think anybody's gonna have any comfortable win. I mean, both of these fighters hurt their opponents, and like I said, I guess we can't get much value off Mohammed Saeed's opponents because, like I said, he's fucking fighting a Hot Topic worker from the mall, you know. So, you know, it's kind of hard to compare and contrast. And like I said, I believe fighters that Dustin Jacoby have lost to would easily beat Mohammed Saeed. I mean, Khalil Roundtree, although he's let's be honest, a win-loss fighter, he's a brutal fucking Muay Thai striker. So imagine what he'll do to Mohammed Saeed, a dude who fucking fought my uncle last fight. You know what I'm saying? So I say Dustin Jacoby probably have a comfortable win, you know, comfortable maybe 30-27, or even like a good finish. You know, Dustin Jacoby's a heavy lethal striker, and like I said, what I've seen at least from Mohammed Saeed, he's a pretty good striker. He's kind of put together a little bit. You know, he has like a, you know, a little good leg kick or whatever. But I think this fight is gonna be Dustin Jacoby, just good veteran ass whooping. So I could potentially see this fight going the distance, but I say my lock and pick guarantee for this fight is going to be Dustin Jacoby's second round finish. All right, y'all, this is going to be the final fight of the prelims, and it's going to be taking place in the heavyweight division. As y'all can see here, we have Walter Walker versus Thomas Peterson. This motherfucker, the heel hook, this motherfucker. I'm gonna fucking heel hook this motherfucker. I have many variations. Guys, I'm gonna be plain and simple. This is gonna be a heel hook first round. Like, I don't even think we need to question it or debate it. If you want to get analytical with it, I don't see Thomas Peterson or Patterson, whatever the fuck this dude's name is. He's fucking shit. He lost to Vitor Petrino, and he's got knocked out by the Blob, the next up and coming heavyweight champion, Shamil Gaziev. So I think that really does say enough about Thomas. But if you want to look at this like being serious, Thomas is a pretty like he's a power puncher. You know what I'm saying? I guess you could say all the heavyweight fighters are power punchers, right? They're heavyweights, and yeah. So but he's a pretty plotty boxer. You know, he does get takedowns. He does look for a takedown. He's kind of one of those guys who just want to get on you, control you. You know, just grit, you know, grind, you know, throw some punches, hurt you, you know. And yeah, he really is gonna try to get you on that cage, you know, mat return you a couple times and just throw some bombs at you. But he's gonna be the shorter fighter in this fight, as y'all could clearly see the stats right here. And I just think Walter Walker is gonna be just too tricky in that grappling department. He does sometimes do like stupid halfway across the fucking cage lunging takedowns, but I mean, I think the height, the frame difference, I mean, if you guys seen him in the face-off, like Walter Walker looks like significantly bigger and taller than Thomas. I think that alone is gonna just be able to help him out. You know, he does do lunging takedowns. If I'm not mistaken, he did like a lunging takedown to Kennedy and Chekazu or some bullshit like that. I think that's, and I'm pretty sure that's his name, or I don't know, I could say his name wrong, but he ended up getting the heel hook. And like you said, we've seen Walter show different variations of the heel hook. You know, he can get it, like, you know, get in a clean takedown, he gets your leg. You know, if he gets you on the cage, you know, he can go like over knee heel hook. You know what I'm saying? So he's shown variations. And a heel hook, I don't know if y'all know how that feels. If you ever got heel hooked even real quick, that shit hurts. I remember when I was doing BJJ, mind you, I didn't do it too long, but I did BJJ or whatever, and live rolls, bro. There was this big freaking stocky nigga, bro. This motherfucker, he wasn't really that stocky, but he was strong, right? This dude, they said, all right, roll. Took my ankle, whoop. That shit hurts. So I say that to say, bro, I can almost guarantee Walter Walker is going to be able to find that foot. In a video he did with Thomas Peterson and Jaden Cable, he said he's going to stand and bang. He's not going to look for the heel hook. He's going to stand and trade. But if you guys know Walter, he's a troll. I highly doubt that he's going to sit there and stand and trade. Walter Walker is kind of like a pretty sloppy puncher. He's not really like a really good choreographed puncher. You know, he's kind of just does lunging punches, and he's a heavyweight. He's kind of like a sloppy heavyweight. Like, if there was no heel hook involved in this fight, this will be heavyweight slop, seriously. But, you know, this is going to be a pretty simple fight. I don't think Thomas is going to be able to defend the heel hook. He's super fucking plotty. He stands heavy on his feet. If you take him down, he's like a tree, you know? So you tip that tree over, you get his ankle, he's done. He's tapping. I think this fight is going to look exactly like Walter Walker versus Louis Sutherland. That fight, literally, Louis Sutherland's just a plotty, heavy striking boxer, you know? And he found the ankle quick. I don't see, and the game plan, everybody knows what Walter Walker's trying to do, but it's one of those things, like, if you get in that position, it hurts, and if you don't tap, your fucking ankle will rip into shreds. So my lock and guarantee lock for this pick, guys, if you do not pick this, you are Delulu, my nigga. Guarantee lock and pick in this fight: Walter Walker, round 1 heel hook. Probably like 4 minutes. Not maybe 3 minutes, honestly. First round heel hook. Easy money. All right, y'all. This is going to be the first fight kicking off the main card, and it's going to be taking place in the welterweight division. This is a sleeper banger, y'all. All right, guys. So we have Abubakar Vagayev versus Saigid Izagakmayev. And to be honest, guys, what I think of this fight is it's going to be a pretty freaking interesting matchup. Both of these guys are teammates of champions. Saigid being the teammate of Islam and Vagayev being the teammate of Hamza. So I think, you know, obviously having two, like, champions in your corner is pretty good. It's really good. And obviously, you know, Islam is also very close to Khabib, so I'm sure Khabib is there helping him as well. And obviously Hamza's not the champion no more, but he was just champion, you know. Although he didn't defend and he took so long to defend, whatever, he was a champion. He beat the champion to be the champion. So, and it was a snooze fest, but whatever. Saigid is coming off a pretty, like, close loss to Nicholas Dalby, which truthfully is not the best loss in the world. It is what it is, though. You know, I think he's more well-rounded in this fight. Vagayev is coming off a 3-fight win streak, you know, which is pretty impressive, but it is on the regional scene, so he could have been can-crushing. From what I've seen of his tape, you know, he's a pretty wild striker, and the level of competition wasn't necessarily the best, but he was a champion on the regional scene, so he touched some peaks, I guess, in the regional scene. That's cool for him, but I think I do think Saigid is, like I said, the more, like, well-rounded fighter out the two. I think he does have the wrestling to fall back on if the striking does become too wild, which in a sense I do kind of see that happening. You know, Vagayev, he's kind of like a crazy striker. He likes to just throw wild like crazy exchanges, you know, with punches and kicks and knees and elbows, and he likes to really make it like a gritty, grindy fight, whereas Saigid is kind of more well-rounded. You know, he's a great striker. He has some good elbows, some good sweeps. He has really good sweeps, so I could see, like, absolutely clinch work and takedowns being I'd say a main factor, honestly, because if you look at this in a striking standpoint, I would say maybe Vagayev's just a little, like, more wild, a little more dangerous, whereas Saigid is a little just more put together, more technical. So I think the takedowns is gonna play advantage in Saigid's, you know, like, for him, I think it's gonna take him farther in the fight, mixing up the grappling, whereas Vagayev is going to just want to make it dirty, nasty. He's going to want to hurt you. He's going to just want to throw some shit at you that you're going to start shelling up. And honestly, I could see that happening pretty early. You know, I think early on we might see Vagayev potentially take off. But the longer this fight goes, I definitely see it favoring Saigid. And the thing about it is we've seen Saigid go, you know, in long fights. Although this would be his second fight in the UFC and Vagayev's making debut, we don't know about Vagayev's gas tank, you know, so we don't know how, you know, like, how long he's gone through fights and stuff. So personally, I think that's going to play a pretty big factor into this matchup. This is going to be a really good fight to watch. I think we're going to see some pretty good exchanges, you know what I'm saying? But the longer this fight goes, I do favor Saigid. So that being said, my lock and pick and guaranteed lock and pick is going to be Saigid round 3 decision. All right, y'all, the second fight on this main card is going to be taking place in the heavyweight division. And to be honest, I'm pretty sure this fight is going to determine who the UFC is trying to push in the heavyweight division. It's pretty stale. It's pretty dry. You know, we got people like Josh Hockett. If you want to be serious, you know, Cyril Gane's kind of making a wave, even though his cheating ass did what he did to Poatan, our goal. Poatan! But, yeah, man, let's get into it. All right, y'all, as you can see, we have Rizvan Kuniev versus Terrell Fortune. And what I think about this matchup here is, to be honest, this is probably going to be one-sided. I see Rizvan taking off pretty early. Just based off level of competition alone, Terrell Fortune hasn't faced anybody good. I mean, if you're going tooth and nail with Marcin Tybura and the big 2-6, like, we really need to consider who is really, like, contenders in the division, right? This dude, Rizvan's first matchup in the UFC after getting, you know, signed to, after his contender fight or whatever, is Curtis fucking Blades, guys. The Curtis Razor fucking Blades, all right? And he went tooth and nail and lost a split decision, all right? If we're going tooth and nail with anybody in the fucking heavyweight division and it's your first matchup, it's Curtis Blades, all right? And then he's off a win, so I just see Rizvan him facing better competition and, you know, having a little bit more experience in the UFC. Terrell Fortune's a pretty boring boxer. Like, last fight he had, that shit was boring. Marcin Tybura, that was heavyweight slop. So I'm not sold on him. Now, obviously, he can show us something different. Like, he is a pretty strong fighter. Like, not for nothing, he's a pretty strong striker. He's able to string combos pretty good, but we see later he kind of started to slow down, you know. Rizvan, he slows down just a tiny bit, but I just think he's going to present more problems. He's a pretty, like, composed striker. He's strong, and he does have, like, a little grappling to fall back on. So I think definitely not like we're going to see submission threats. Now, do I think that's a potential possibility in heavyweight? You know, jump a gilly and you get lucky, yeah, potentially that happens, but I just see Rizvan just taking off. I think he's going to present more of a threat. I think he's going to have better kicks. I think the leg kicks are going to be a pretty telling factor in this fight. Terrell, he's kind of like stands heavy on his feet, you know, he moves forward, and I think that's just easy money for leg kicks. You know, you chop that leg down, he's going to start, you know, not moving as, you know, like elusive. Even though he's not the most elusive striker, he's not like this skinny heavyweight like Josh Hockett that's moving in and out and crazy. No, he's kind of like he wants to be Josh Hockett. That's what Terrell Fortune is kind of going for, and I'm not sold on it. So I think easily this probably is going to be maybe a split decision. So I see this going, my lock and pick for this fight, I see this going to Rizvan Kuniev. Probably a split decision just based off what both of these guys have presented. I guess Rizvan has more of a finishing capability, so if anybody's going to get the finish, it's going to be Rizvan, but I just play it safe, and heavyweight slop usually goes to the decision anyway, so I just say Rizvan, easy money. There we go. All right, guys, we got an absolute banger next on our main card, and it's going to be taking place in the lightweight division. All right, y'all, as we can see, we have Magomed Chanko Zainakov, and we have Damian Respecki. Guys, this is going to be a really freaking good matchup, honestly. This is going to be probably one of the best matchups on the main card. Maybe the fight of the night. Let's be serious. Both of these guys are making their debut to the UFC. Both of these guys are undefeated, and both of these guys are like relatively new. I guess not necessarily new to fighting, but new to MMA as far as their records, 8-0, 10-0. So less than 12 fights each, you know. Both of these guys have not tasted defeat. What is very good about this fight and very interesting is John Pork is a Muay Thai champion, you know what I'm saying? And he's a teammate of Islam, obviously teammate of Khabib as well. So that's going to come into play, as I listed earlier, for one of these fighters. Having that champion on your side, you know, champion experience, that's like one of the best like things that you can't buy. You know, that's one of the best things you just can't train for. You can't just have that, you know, every day. Not every fighter has that champion on their side, you know, especially like a current active champion or like a long-lasting champion like Khabib, and an undefeated as well fighter like Khabib, which we believe he left too early, but that's another story. I think this is going to be a really like great matchup. Damien Respecki, he's more of like just an all-around fighter. I think he has really good leg kicks, which could definitely be a deciding factor in this matchup. You know, I think that might play into Chanko's not play into his favor, but be his demise. You know, really good leg kicks, really just battering leg kicks. Damien Respecki, he likes to just get in there, mix it up. But the thing about it is, Chankos wants to be close. This dude just broke the significant strike records in Dana White Contender Series, and if I'm not mistaken, he beat it by like maybe 15, maybe 20 or so punches, maybe a little less, but it's definitely like over 230 punches thrown, significant strikes landed, you know. So this dude has a very high output. He does have a gas tank. John Pork's freaking anti-wrestling is amazing. This dude's going against the best wrestlers every single fucking day. This dude has been doing it for years. Give me a second, y'all. This dude has literally been wrestling against the best wrestlers and the highest names in the UFC for years. So there's no question or debate. Like, this dude's grappling is 100% good. He's a Muay Thai champion, so this dude likes to throw high output, high elbows, high knees. You know, he just likes to beat you down, batter you down, and just render you useless. You know what I'm saying? And Damien Respecki, he's more of like a gritty fighter. You know, he's collected. You know, he throws wild sometimes from what I see of his footage. You know, but he's a really good striker. He likes to beat you up, and he likes to sneak in a takedown. You know, once you start shelling up, that's when he blast takes down, you know, and that's when he starts looking for ground and pound. He's not necessarily like one of those wrestlers that's looking for a submission threat, but he is trying to outposition you and look for some good ground and pound. So I would say Damien Respecki could be a super sleeper pick on this card, guys. Like let's not just pick John Pork off name value and the meme and the, oh, John Pork's calling. Okay, yeah, that's funny, but guys, if we're being serious, this is going to be neck and neck, and this is a lot closer than what we believe. We have a really good kicker and striker in Damien Respecki who can play range and crash in and push in, and we have this amazing high output Muay Thai style fighter who people are actually like really high on, you know what I'm saying? And people actually want to see this guy win and go far. You know, apart from the meme, he has a good team behind him, and I think this fight is actually going to be pretty interesting. I think the styles are going to clash very well. You know, I think if we play this fight at the range, Damien is going to have slightly more of an advantage just because I think his kicks are just nasty. He has nasty leg kicks and blasting side body kicks, you know, and blasting kicks right, like he has a lethal left up kick right to the head, you know what I'm saying? So I think that right there could play an advantage, but you know, the closer this fight gets, I think, you know, that Muay Thai style is gonna definitely help him. You know, the clinch, you know, the and I'm talking about John Pork, I'm talking about the clinches, you know, the uppercut clinches, the you know, close elbows, and I think that's just gonna really go far for him. You know what I'm saying? The closer this fight gets, I just see it playing more in John Pork's advantage. So that being said, I'm gonna go John Pork second round TKO. All right, y'all, this is going to be the featured bout of the main card, and it's going to be taking place in the welterweight division. All right, guys, as you can see here, we have Islam Dulatov and we have Wellington Thurman. And I'm not even going to take too much time on this fight. This is going to be clearly one-sided. Islam Dulatov by whatever in the hell he wants. This dude, Wellington Thurman, is genuinely shit, bro. I'm pretty sure this guy's like on a 3-fight losing streak, all right? And this dude's most credible win, guys, hear me the fuck out. His most credible win is Sam Alvey. And if you don't know who Sam Alvey is, bro, this dude is literally a fucking knockout merchant, and I'm saying he's getting knocked the fuck out every time. He's literally getting his head taken off in karate combat. If I'm not mistaken, Rebellis de Spain took this dude's face off in karate combat. So if your most credible win is Sam Alvey, I'm never picking you. This dude, Islam Dulatov, this might be his second fight in the UFC. He had a great debut against Adam Fugit, whatever his name is. Dude's trash. And he did really good, you know, he showed levels. And not only that, this dude, Islam, is younger, 2 years. He has about a 3-reach advantage. He's just better all around. He has a way better record. I think the only disadvantage is he has slightly less fights. You know, he has less fights. So we have, I guess, an experience difference. But what's experience if you're on a 3-fight losing streak and you're just losing? If you have an experience of losing, look at this dude's record. It's freaking shit. So Wellington Thurman, why are you in the UFC? Somebody pack this dude up. Somebody send him back to Burger King. Somebody send him a taxi. Don't even call him a Lyft. Somebody make him pay cash for a taxi and get him the fuck out of here, okay? I expect Islam Dulatov, first round head kick. I want him to kick this dude's face off. Wellington Thurman, who are you? Get out the UFC. My lock and pick is Islam Dulatov, first round knockout. Head kick. All right, man, we creeping up on the last two fights. This is the co-main event of the main card, and it is going to be taking place in the flyweight division. All right, guys, we have Steve Ursig versus Ramazan Temirov. And honestly, this is the #1 fight I'm looking forward to on this whole entire card. I think this is going to be the most competitive fight. I think we see a really contrasting styles in this fight. You know, Steve Ursig is a very great technical, defensively sound boxer, you know, and he likes to keep a really good base and move forward, you know what I'm saying? But he's also very well-rounded. He likes to, you know, mix it up. He keeps it basic. You know, what I told my boy, I said Steve Ursig is the most basic fighter. And when I say that to say, I say he excels in keeping it basic. He doesn't do too much. He doesn't sway away from his game plan. He doesn't do these crazy, stupid, you know, potentially compromising things that'll give himself bad position. And, you know, other than the Pantoja fight where he actually put up an amazing fight, a great fight, arguably one of his best performances, other than that takedown that pretty much made him lose that fight, you know, he's a really smart fighter. He has really good IQ. And the contrast is Ramazan Temirov. He's this very explosive style fighter. You know, he's this super explosive striker. He likes to throw overhands. He has a mean spinning kick. He just has like really heavy kicks in general. But this dude is literally 5'3". He's a stocky bulldog. And Steve Ursig is about 5'8". You know, he has like a significant reach to this man. And I just think Steve Ursig will be able to show levels as far as keeping it in the range. But my output on this fight is I think Ramazan is going to be able to make this fight a close fight. You know, keep it close, keep it like within clinch range. You know, that's usually where he wants to be, especially against a taller fighter. You don't want to play the range. And Steve Ursig, you know, he would jab your face away. He would jab hook your face away. You know, so if he doesn't be explosive and like, you know, crash in early, you know, and the thing about this is Ramazan is going to have to take some damage crashing in. There's no way he's going to be able to close that gap without, you know, Steve Ursig is going to you're going to run into something eventually, you know. So I think he's going to have to be very elusive, you know, very explosive, you know. He likes to do blast takedowns. So, you know, if he's able to potentially inflict some damage and, you know, Steve Ursig keeps his hands up, that's when he'll blast takedown. The thing about this fight is Steve Ursig is a very great defensive, like, jiu-jitsu grappler type fighter, you know. So the grappling could play into Steve Ursig's, you know, his favor because he has some submission wins. And Ramazan, he's very short compared to Steve Ursig, you know, so he's going to be lower. That's easy ghillie range, you know. You see somebody crashing in, that's easy, you know. So potentially, I think I could see Ramazan crashing into something bad, but the way you beat Steve Ursig is with power. This dude Ramazan is a absolutely powerful fighter. He's on a crazy win streak, and if you want to talk about the PEDs and being popped, we can. We have to talk about the elephant in the room. Yes, he was caught with performance-enhancing drugs in his body. The excuse I seen online, one of his team members or his coach said that he was having some heart problems and he took some heart medicine. That's what it was. Listen, I don't know. I don't want to hear no picogram bullshit. You popped. Simple. But apart from that, he's off his year suspension. He's clean. He's obviously in a drug pool, so he has to be clean now for this fight to have been sanctioned. So that being said, I really genuinely believe, although Steve Ursig is one of the most technically sound and defensive fighters in the flyweight division, I think Ramazan is going to be able to just close that distance and be powerful. And I think he's definitely going to be able to out physical and out grit and out grind Steve Ursig. And although he has a gas tank in Steve Ursig, if you push him far, especially like, you know, you hold him on that cage, if you push him far, he won't throw much output. So I think if Ramazan is able to crash early, close the gap early, I think this will play in his favor. I think the only way really Ramazan win is if he gets a ground and pound. Like, I can't see any other lane for Ramazan winning other than ground and pound. But maybe I'm delusional enough to believe he's able to get there. My pick and my lock and pick for this fight is going to be round 3, ground and pound, Ramazan Temirov. Alrighty, guys, here we are, man. Main event time, and it's going to be taking place in the light heavyweight division. We have Magomed Ankalaev versus Bogdan Guskov. This is a fucking banger, guys. I swear to God, this is going to be a banger. I'm really upset that we lost Khalil Roundtree in the main event. You know, Khalil versus Ankalaev would have been generationally better. You know, we would have seen Khalil fucking throw his heart out in the first 2 rounds, maybe the first 3-4 rounds, and then fucking lose to Ankh, you know, big Ankh. Listen, guys, this is a very good matchup. These dudes are very similar. You know, as you see in the statistics, these dudes basically have the same build, the same, you know, height, same reach. These dudes are like basically mirror match, you know. The thing about this fight is Bogdan Guskov is pretty one-dimensional. You know what I'm saying? This dude is low-key an overhand merchant. This dude is just low-key just like depends on his power too much. And I'm not gonna lie, against somebody who's actually pretty technical in Ankalaev, I think that's gonna just fall into Ankalaev's lap. You know, you're gonna fall into something. This dude's a pretty solid counter puncher in Ankalaev. And also, I think although they're the same kind of size or whatever, I think Ankalaev is going to be the bigger fighter. He is going to present a bigger frame. I think his body mass is different to Bogdan's. You know, Bogdan's kind of more like a stocky guy. Magomed's kind of big everywhere, you know, no Diddy, right? But this guy is really good. You know, Magomed is one of the most like technical fighters in the 205 division. And listen, we can talk about it. Paul Craig fluked Big Ankh, all right? He fell right into a triangle. It happens, all right? It happens to the best of us. Whatever, that doesn't count. That was AI. All right, listen, guys, this fight is probably going to be one-sided. You know, I could see some early success for Bogdan, you know, especially with his power presenting a problem for Ankh. We've seen Alex Pereira, and this is not me comparing Bogdan's power to Alex Pereira, but we've seen Alex Pereira in that second fight with Big Ankh hit him with some shit, and Ankh shelled up immediately, shot a panic takedown. So I could potentially see Bogdan throwing a good overhand, potentially some Josh Emmett bullshit, and fluking Big Ankh into him throwing a blast takedown, and you know, then we're able to, you know, control Ankh. But other than that, I don't see him making that same mistake twice. Big Ankalaev is a pretty good fighter, and he's not dumb, you know. He is from that region, guys. I'm not saying anything. All I'm saying is he is from that region. But I don't think he's that dumb to make the same mistake twice. You know what I'm saying? Magomed has faced infinitely better competition. I mean, if your best win is Nikita Krylov, I mean, come on, guys. Nikita Krylov, crafty vet. I mean, come on, man. People forget, man. No, listen, no. If your best win is Nikita Krylov compared to your best win is Alex Pereira, Puerta? Yeah, no, you're crazy. This fight is going to be, like, early on is going to be very evenly matched. But I see this fight, as we take off on this fight, I just see this going Magomed Ankalaev's way. Like, unless Bogdan is really locked in and he can just hold in and be patient. Because if you're crashing in and you're just throwing out-of-range punches and looping overhands and lunging overhands, Ankalaev is going to start you, dude. You are going to get counter-hooked hard, bad, all right? And Ankalaev has really good control. He has really good grappling. Like, at the end of the day, he still is one of these Dagestani wrestler guys. You know, he's a striker first, and people may mistake him as a wrestler, but he is a striker that can wrestle very well. And we need to take that into factor where Bogdan Guskov, yeah, he can control you. You know, he can clench you. He can mat return you, but when we're comparing and contrasting each fighter, like, Magomed is like infinitely better than Bogdan. You know what I'm saying? He's like just level of competition, pinnacles of each guy's careers. This dude, Bogdan Guskov, believes if he wins this fight, he's getting a title shot. Buddy, no, you're not. Buddy, yeah, I doubt it. You think it's going to be Carlos Ulberg versus Bogdan Guskov next? I mean, like, seriously, who thinks that's going to happen? Not me. I could potentially see Magomed right in that title picture off a win. Maybe one more. Like, I see one more. Listen, if Bogdan Guskov loses, I think the best fight for him is Bobby Knuckles. Like, come on, we got Robert Whittaker. That's a great name right there. Made his runs through the UFC. He's later in his career. If you want to give Robert Whittaker a name, there we go. Bogdan's an amazing name. And honestly, I think that's the fight to make next, because I don't believe Bogdan is going to be able to out-grit Ankalaev. I don't think he's going to be able to out-heart Ankalaev. Like, Ankalaev is really good. You know, people can hate. He fluked Alex, whatever. It was a fluke, but guess what? A win's a win. So if we're going off just level of competition and experience and what these fighters have accomplished in the sport already, you know, what have you done for me type of sport, Ankalaev has done more, and I've seen more. We've seen more from Ankalaev. The only difference is maybe Bogdan is more like devastating with the knockouts, but I just don't see that for him. Honestly, I see round 4 TKO Magomed Ankalaev. That's my pick. lock and pick. Thank you guys so much. This is my first video. I know it doesn't look that good. Next video, guys, I promise it's going to be way better outlook. Like, it's going to be way better display, everything. I promise, guys. But listen, this is my first video. Magomed Ankalaev versus Guskov. This is going to be a fucking banger card. Thank y'all so much. Thank y'all for watching. Make sure y'all like and share. And thank y'all, man.